Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jessica. This video is going to be a more in-depth look at how to create a glitter in a corner cut crease moment using the eyeshadow formulas that I was talking about in one of my previous videos. The first thing we're going to do is prep our eyes. I'll be using the Juvias Place Eye Prep Eye Prime eyeshadow primer. Now, this is in the color number 2, so I need to tone this shade so it matches a little bit better. In order to do that, I'll be using my LA Girl Foundation Mixing Pigment. This one is blue. It helps with cooler undertones, which I have, and a mixture of my Too Faced Born This Way concealer. But I do have this mixing palette that really helps me create different tones of shades. So I'll be using a concealer brush to apply my primer mixture today. This is the Morphie M173 concealer blending brush. Any dome-shaped type of brush that is able to pick up product and spread it around will also be a great substitute. In my opinion, I think Real Techniques makes a great set of eyeshadow brushes and facial brushes that are perfect for all types of looks, so you can definitely achieve this look with a similar brush that might be a little bit more cost effective. The secret to achieving a blended, beautiful eyeshadow look is really to take your time with how you're applying and blending your products together. It really isn't necessarily about the brand or the price point. I think it's more so about the technique that you use. So as you can see, to apply this primer, I'm tapping it in with my concealer brush, and then I'm starting to blend out the outer corners towards my brow bone. And this is just going to create a more even base. I used eyeshadow primer for this look today because I wanted to stretch out the wear. It is completely optional. If you have a concealer, that is enough to prep and prime your eyeshadow. But I will say using an eyeshadow primer improves the longevity of your eyeshadow look, and in my case it helps with my eyeshadow creasing. Once you've chosen an eyeshadow formula that you want to use, it's really important to look at the shape of your eyes. Look at how your lid changes, whether you look up or down or to the side. The palette that I'll be using today is Juvias Place's Coffee Shop palette. So for this look, I'm actually going in with this warm, almost caramel shade as my first layer of shadow, just to help transition the rest of the shades for this look. This palette doesn't have any names for the shades, so we're going to go strictly off description, so bear with me, but I will have a slower version of what color I pick on the screen, just so we're on the same page. This is, in my opinion, the perfect starter palette for beginners. I think the combination of the brown shades, lots of tans, you have auburn, a lot of rich dark chocolate shades that are perfect for every day. You can also elevate them because there are lots of shimmer shades in this palette. I'm applying this shadow with a flatter dome-shaped brush. I like these bigger, fluffier brushes when I'm picking up and dropping off pigment. I think they just help layer on my product. So I'm doing lots of pressing motions to apply the eyeshadow powder. And then when I get towards the ends where my eyebrows are, I'm going to start buffing it to blend out the shade. I'm going in with this deeper brown shade to start building up color on my lid. So I'm trying to keep this shade strictly around my lid. This will help with blending out your transition shades because we're kind of starting off with a smoky eye, and then we're going to cut the crease where we're going to put the glitter. So in order to achieve that blended out look, we have to build our deeper, darker colors. So I'm going in with a lighter brown shade, and then I'm going to go over that shade, deepen it up with a darker brown shade. As you can see, when I build up these darker brown shades, I'm keeping it on my lid, but I'm blending it out towards my brow bone. So I'm kind of going in a swiping V motion around the corners of my crease. That's how you create that almost cat-like look with your eyeshadow, where it's like sharper towards the edge. So a lot of the times when I'm doing these eyeshadow looks, I'm going off inspiration. And I think that it's important to mess around with your shadows as you see them on your complexion, because it does change based off of what the palette itself looks like, which is why I'm going in with a richer dark chocolate shade mixed with my medium chocolate shade, going into my crease with that to deepen up the look. I'm going back in with that caramel shade to blend out the brow bone where my shadow is, to help with that transition a little bit better. So for now, we're starting to achieve a darker look on the lids, but we want to keep it a lighter transition outwards to blend with the rest of my face. The secret to making your eyeshadow look pop is to go over those areas back in with the same shade to build up the look. So you might lose some pigment when you're blending out your shades, which is why we go back in to reapply some more layers to make the look pop a little bit more. I'm going to take some of that eyeshadow primer we used before and cut the inner corner of my crease. So similar to where you would put eyeshadow to brighten up your inner corner, you can put your concealer there and start to blend it out into your lid. You don't want to go all the way across the lid because we're creating a illusion with this eyeshadow. So make sure that you're keeping this shade right in the inner corner to create that illusion where it cuts the crease. So as you can see, my shadow will start from my inner corner and transition out towards the middle of my lid. It's not going all the way out to where the rest of my shadow is. I'm going in with this cool brown shimmer shade at the top. It has nice chunkier specks of like glitter in there, but it does have a cooler shade to it, and I think that that matches with the look I'm trying to achieve. So I'm applying that brown shimmer towards the front and middle of my lid. I am keeping the very inner corner reserved for a lighter color, and it's really important that when you're placing your eyeshadow over this concealer that you blend it out with the rest of the shadow that's there, where I take my blending brush and I move left and right, almost zigzagged up and down where that shade is to help it transition a little bit better. This creates a better blend. Moving left and right in this motion really helps with making the transition look more seamless, and I think that your shadows blend better when you use that technique. So I'm going in with this almost tan sandy shade, and I'll be using that really small brush to apply to my inner corners. The size of your brush will also help apply your makeup a lot better or easier, which is why I use smaller brushes towards the inner corner so I have more precision, more control over how much product I'm picking up and where I'm placing it. I just love this look. It's so bronzy and shimmery. We got some gold in there, we got browns in there. I just love this look so far. Another hack I like to do to make my look blend better with the rest of my face is to make sure my brow bone is never left empty. Okay, so we're going in back with the shimmer shade that we used on our lid towards the eyebrow bone to make the look complete. These are just some final details that I think elevate your look. They make it look a little bit more put together, and they add some more depth to your eyeshadow. So I'm going back in with my brown transition shade, and I'm running that underneath my lash line to smoke it out a little bit. I think bringing your shadow down towards your lash line also just makes your look transition better. So basically for the rest of this video, I'm just going to be reapplying and blending my shades together to make them pop even better. And then I went in with some black liner just to finish off the look. I do have lash clusters in for this tutorial, so I didn't have to apply a lash or anything. I have a cluster lash tutorial up on my channel, so if you want to see how I got this look, you can check that out. There are also different styles of cluster lashes that you can do to achieve a different type of look. If you're wondering how I did my base, I do have a base routine video up, but it does skip the foundation step. I will have that video linked for you guys. It's more in depth and shares some of my favorite products that I use to achieve my base. Alright, so I finished off the rest of my makeup and this is the final look. Let me know what you guys think. Whenever I have time to do my eyeshadow, I just think my makeup looks so beautiful. I love glittery, shimmery brown shades, which is why the Coffee Shop palette is one of my faves. I always reach for it when I'm doing my makeup, either with the transition shade or the glittery shimmer shades. I think most of them blend beautifully with my complexion as well. Let me know if you guys want to see me create a different style look using a different eyeshadow formula with this palette, or maybe with a different palette, maybe brighter colors, but I'm feeling so inspired. So if you guys enjoy this, leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Bye!